We can't tell you how excited we are to be introducing you to our first guest speaker. Before we do though, just take a moment and imagine what the world would be like if you were doing what you loved and contributing to the world in your own unique ways. Imagine that all of your past burdens was something you was free from and you was creating with pure confidence and a zest for life. What would that look like for you? What would happen? In Robert's words here, if you gave yourself the gift of a lifetime and woke up to your true self as a person of significant value to others. A shining example of this is Robert Simic, who is our first speaker of the day, who is the founder of Robert Simic Coaching Institute.
Okay, now Robert is a heart and results-driven coach to many billionaires, royal family members, and celebrities. His passion for touching people's lives and contributing, it helps him create the RS method as a much-needed update in the world of psychology, therapy, healing, and coaching. Again, a rapid healing and transforming lives are Robert's specialities, and he has mastered the science of change, okay, making change fast, fun, and sustainable. He gets science and spirituality and merges them together into one holistic approach to healing humanity.
Yeah, and on a personal note, Robert's work has been a shining light for us both personally and for our mission, inspiring us here at Wellness Theory as well. So we're extremely, extremely delighted to be able to introduce you and hand you over to him now, as he'll be talking about making an impact just as you are. So let's find Robert and hand over.
Robert, okay. Pin.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
We can hear you perfectly.
And there you are. Awesome. There you go. Perfect. Hello there.
Hey guys, what an awesome beginning of the event. For me, you know, you guys know, I'm not very much of a motivational speaker or any of those. I'm much more inclined to work with people and talk, you know, with people rather than deliver a speech kind of thing. So for me, this was like, I hope they're not expecting a motivational speech, but you guys did a great job. I feel inspired.
Awesome. Like I say, you're just listening to you. A lot of times, Robert is very inspiring as well. So you might not intend it as a motivational speech, but I guarantee people will be motivated.
Oh, yes.
And look, just to give you a thumbs up back, because seeing you evolve in the way that you did, and, you know, because I was kind of part of your journey at some point in time, some years ago, Charlotte, eh? So it's been amazing to just watch you guys do what you do. And for me, part of my passion was always, you know, transforming the world, but seeing my coaches, seeing people who whose lives I've touched, as in, you know, getting on that torch and touching other people's lives. For me, it's always very, very humbling and inspiring. So it's beautiful to see you guys, you know, from Thailand doing something like that. I think it's crazy, meaning amazing. All right, so I assume you guys hear me because you two do. How about the audience? Are you guys still with us? As in, can you guys hear us? I think we should.
Yeah,
I need to.
Everyone's all good.
Yeah,
Everyone's all good. They can hear you. They're all saying hi to you, Robert.
All right, awesome. So let's see. I've got some slides, and again, it's not going to be I'll do my best. I'm just going to share with you some stuff that I think somewhere deep inside we all know. I just don't know if anybody showed you to this way. So I'm going to share some major concepts with you. And then if time allows, we'll open for a quick chat. I'd love to see. I shouldn't be paying attention to the chat box. I've got some people saying, hey, Robert, as in like, guys, I know. Awesome. So let's see. If I do this thing, it should do this. There we go. Okay. So guys, the title that I was given, the topic for today is how to impact the world just as you are, which somewhat messes with my mind because you won't learn that from me here, nor I believe in some book, nor anywhere else in the world. And I say that simply because you're already doing that. You see, it's built in, you know, the impacting the world. I think that's built into us. And there is no scenario in the world where you are going about your day without impacting the world around you. So technically, you won't really learn how to do that here, but instead, I'll do my best to point out on how it all works and perhaps how you can do that even better from now on. Is that making sense? All right, awesome. I think it's great. I see at least a few cameras on, so that helps me. That helps me. All right, so let's go back to slides. Here's a fancy title for this slide. the life mastery model. All right. So guys, technically, here's the letter R, and in my world, letter R stands for results. Now, I can pretty much deliver this slide in any context of life. So if you stick with the topic of impacting the world, then whatever impact in the world you currently have, then we'll call that results for the purpose of this slide. All right. And yet, obviously, you're all human beings. So I believe that you'll find this relevant on any level, any context, any area of your own lives. So when I say results, I literally mean whether it's your relationship, whether it's your health, whether it's your bank account, whether it's the impact in the world that you're making, it really is just a result. So if you're seeking for making even more impact or changing any result in your own life, I think the question that's appropriate is, what are results kind of made of, or what creates results in our lives? And I think that's what's, oops, wrong button. I reckon that all our results are created from our behavior. Now, I don't expect that to be a lighting bulb for any one of you. I think we are all rather up to date that, hey, results don't really happen by some chance necessarily, but rather results are caused by our own behavior. Now, when I say behavior, I'd like to be very inclusive. I want to say that behavior, meaning all the things that you do, but also all the things that you didn't do. In other words, sum total of your behavior is what I call behavior. And sum total of all your behavior, all the actions you've taken, including the ones you didn't do, created results in your lives. All right. Now, I would also imagine that this audience also have an idea that 95% of all our behavior is unconscious. Now, you know, different labels, unconscious and things, depending what it means to you. For me, unconscious is simply a database of all our knowledge, all past experiences. And I think you guys can relate to the idea that we're all habitual creatures. In other words, 95% of all our behavior during any given day is unconscious. It's habitual, as in there is no conscious involvement whatsoever in it. All right. So the idea is that all of these behavior is causing results. And technically speaking, if you want to change any result in your life, what should our focus be on? What needs to change in order to change results? Obviously, we got to change how we go about things. We got to change our behavior, right? Now, for me, that's not where the journey stopped, though, because I learned somewhere along my journey that something else causes our behavior. Now, in the past, science would tell us that, well, science was thinking that when I do certain things, it makes me happy or it makes me sad or, you know, whatever. There is that the emotion was following the behavior. And yet today, science shows us very clearly that all our behavior is caused by our states, by our emotional state in the moment. So when I say state, I'm talking about mostly our emotions, right? So think about it this way. Let me just change the slide back to me. I think it's better if you guys can see me. You can memorize the slide so far. So state is what's causing all our behavior and therefore all our results. So if you look at that formula, then the idea is, in order for us to change results in our lives, yeah, we could focus on changing our behavior, but I believe that you all tried changing your behavior at some point in time, haven't you? How easy was changing behavior? The idea is that habits, you know, they say they die hard, or it's very hard to change behaviors. Now, you could study NLP, you could study all sorts of different modalities and learn how to rather quickly change certain habits or replace certain behaviors. But the idea is that 95% of your day is on autopilot. That means that all your behavior is rather informed by the states that you are in. So tell me something, when you wake up in the morning, what state are you in? Do you actually wake up in the morning and decide, I'm going to feel crappy today? Or do you wake up and decide, I'm going to feel amazing today? I reckon, you know, us humans, we don't really do that, do we? So the idea is that it seems to us that states are happening to us. And, you know, that sounds very disempowering, and it is in nature, because we were raised in the world where we were led to believe, I guess. I don't remember a class in a classroom specifically telling me this, but I think we were all assumed that since we don't consciously, actively get involved with our states and emotions during the day, we just were led to believe that states are happening to us, that emotions are something that are happening to us. We were all led to believe that other people and events, circumstances in our lives can cause certain emotions within us. And aside that, that's very disempowering model, the idea is that it's just simply not true. States are happening to us, and there is a cause for them too. And I'd like to kind of point out where that comes from, because I believe that if you could understand where all this is coming from, it empowers you further to go about your day in a more empowered and more meaningful way, and have way more say and more results, more say about your results. Are you guys interested in that? Should I continue? I'm just checking. There you go. Thanks, Ivan. so guys, here's the idea. The idea is that when we say states, I say emotions, and this is one of my favorite topics, emotions on its own. So do you guys know what emotions are? I don't know how you relate to emotions and how you perceive them and what do you think they are? Because in my scientific world, emotions are nothing more, nothing less than chemicals. It's our own brain creating emotions. It's our own brain releasing those emotions into our bloodstream, and then blood does what it does. It takes all those chemicals across the whole body, and every cell of your body tends to receive that chemical and be altered, being affected by the chemical that your brain produced. So the idea is that once we experience that chemical, it's what we recognize or experience as an emotion. So first point is that emotions are created within us. It's our own loving brain creating them for some reason, and I guess we'll get into it now. Why does brain do that? So the idea is that we are creating emotions within our body, and that causes us to be in a certain state. Now that process is automated, and we are not part of it consciously. So the idea is that when you wake up in the morning, you are in a certain state, but without making a conscious choice or decision what state to be. Even if you try to make such a conscious decision, I think you'll find it's not such an easy job to change a state. For what it's worth, I think if I just tell a good joke, you could laugh rather quickly, and that would change your state. So changing states is easy, but changing states from whatever default setting is for you, whatever dominant states you spend your day in, insisting on changing them consciously and being a policeman in your own head and insisting only on positive thinking and managing your own state consciously seems to be rather hard effort. Maybe in the beginning when you just come across this knowledge, you get inspired and you feel motivated to do all that. But if you were to spend the weeks, months maintaining your own state and insisting that you shouldn't feel negative, you should always feel positive, and trying to police and own your own state is a difficult job, I dare saying, because over time it just becomes nuisance. It becomes, I remember in my own life when I discovered affirmations and controlling my own states, life was better, but after some months, I think, of me doing this, it became so tough that I think I preferred my life before that. I don't know if any of you can relate to that, because I became this most annoying friend in the neighborhood, because all my friends were like, do you have to be so, is this PG rated? I don't know, this event, I was about to say, do you have to be so effing positive all the time? I was annoying to everyone, including my wife, by the way. Bless her. She said a couple of times, like, dude, I loved you more before all this, before you knew all this knowledge. Because again, I spent all my conscious time, all my conscious effort trying to make that change, insisting on positive states, because somewhere in that time, this was like 2 decades ago about in my life, I also discovered the law of attraction. I would imagine this audience, you guys must have heard of law of attraction, depending what you know about it, but the idea is that a law of attraction, the like energies attract like energies. So in my attempt to change my life and create a better life and change the results in my life, I figured that I should have a frequency, I should be in a certain state that attracts all the good that I desire. So in my attempts to manipulate all that, this is kind of that story. So when I say emotions and I say it's chemicals, I want you to know that when we, certain people, mention energy and speaking about this world as if it was made of energy, as if my body is made of energy, and every physical item in your room right now is also made of energy. But you guys probably know that. You know that the world is kind of made up of atoms, and there's only energy inside of it, which we call energy. So in the past, this was a woo-woo topic. Do you guys know what I mean by woo-woo? Like you speak of energy, and suddenly you are this crazy person and not exactly scientific. Luckily, science caught up, and science is showing us that the world is actually made up of energy. And I think it really comes down to this idea that like attracts like, and whatever state you're in, that's the vibe that you're emitting out, and therefore that's what you're putting into this quantum field. That's what you're attracting back. So if you are interested in making an impact in the world, you could go about changing your behavior and try to find different things to do, different behavior to produce in order to change any result in your life. And I reckon that would be a lot of hard work and hard effort changing behaviors. If you look at, let me use the slide again just for a refresh. If you look at the formula of life, then you'll realize that it's really the state that you should take care of. It's the state that's governing all your behavior, therefore creating all your results. It's the state that acts like an umbrella, determining what range of behavior you can access at any given time. Think about it this way: if you were ever really angry, okay, if you were really angry, during that anger, could you produce some great behaviors? You couldn't. We love to believe you always have a choice, but the idea is that you have a choice. You could, I don't know, squeeze your fist real hard, you know, deal with your anger, or you could punch something or someone with that fist, like the wall, very clever, or you could break something that you got to buy later on. Meaning, yeah, you have a choice of your behavior, but depending from the volume of the emotion that you're experiencing, it tends to determine the range of behavior you can produce. So changing state, especially while we are already in a certain elevated, charged, negative state, it's very limited in terms of what behavior we can produce at a time. So look at the formula. The idea is, if you can change the state, you would change the behavior, and that would change results. But I want to bring up the important number. That's 95% of all your states are habitual. They are unconscious. You wake up in the morning and you end up in a certain state, right? If you feel like in a bad mood, if you feel under the weather, and your partner goes, "Hey, what's up with you this morning?" What do you say? I don't think you say, I woke up this morning, I decided to feel shit. You don't say that. You probably say things like, you know, we all love saying, like I got up on the wrong side of the bed, or I stepped on the wrong foot, depending from, you know, culture or where you were raised. They have different expressions for this. But the idea, it's totally nonsense. What is the wrong side of the bed? And what that has to do with chemicals that are happening inside of my body. So the main question for me today is, what's causing our states? If 95% of all my states are caused on autopilot, you know, 95% of it, that means that 95% of my results are predetermined as well, and they're coming from somewhere. So the question is, where is that coming from? And I have this fancy new letter for you, letter C, because I'd like you to see that, by the way, C stands for conditioning, all right? It's another fancy word. Conditioning for me stands for sum total of all your life knowledge. Think about everything you were ever, anything you ever experienced, anything you ever learned, any knowledge whatsoever that you came across, adopted, inherited, came up on your own, all that sort of database of your life experiences is like a database. It's like all this data is stored within your unconscious mind. And that stuff is what's causing your states on autopilot, which causes your behavior and your results on autopilot. When I say conditioning, guys, just to give you a little bit something you can relate to, think about it as filters that are helping you filter your reality. Again, unconscious mind is doing. Without going too technical into the details of the process of that, I want to point what kind of stuff is in your conditioning. So you must be aware of the power of beliefs. You guys have some beliefs, right? So the idea is that your beliefs are like pillars of your reality. However you were raised, whatever you beliefs you adopted over time, now that's what you believe in. That's what you act accordingly. Okay, so the idea is that all your beliefs will, by default, have to actualize themselves, and you're going around proving yourself right from that perspective. So the idea is that if you believe that something's possible, if you believe that you can do something, you probably can. At least you have a chance. At least you'll give it a go. But if you believe that you can't, that's not possible for you, you won't even get your feet wet. You won't even try. Is it true, by the way? All right. So what else is in conditioning. We have our values. Do you guys know what I mean by values? Things that are important to you. It's another filter. So again, based on your upbringing, I don't know if you know this, from 0 to 7 years old, we call it the imprint period. In other words, the conscious mind wasn't even there to make decisions, to really interact so much with it. So the idea is that you were walking like a little sponge, adopting, experiencing the world mostly through the eyes of, through the lenses of our parents and our immediate environment, our nest, our siblings. And the idea is that whatever environment we were raised in, that's the model of the world we adopted. We inherited the ideas of what's important, what's valuable, what matters, what doesn't. That includes what's good, what's bad. That includes all of that stuff. So the idea is that our values, technically speaking, they're our main internal motivator. Top 5 values that you have are determining over 80% of all your motivation. I don't know if you know this. You know this self-initiated motivation? Rather than you motivating yourself or forcing yourself to do certain things, creating motivation, or a motivational speaker giving you a speech, touching your heart, causing motivation. The idea is that when motivation is self-initiated, then it's self-maintainable. So I think a shortcut to that side would be aligning your values with what it is that you want, and therefore experiencing self-initiated motivation, being constantly motivated by default, which is, by the way, effortless. That's another word I'd like to kind of point at today, that when you let life happen from the unconscious mind, meaning from the conditioning, when you're not interfering and jamming the system consciously, trying to make those changes and run the system consciously, you experience life effortless. Now, that's a word somebody would maybe disagree with, but I'm saying it's effortless because you're not the one doing it. Often results are not cool, so we don't experiencing it effortless as in it's not what we want. Maybe life is hard or difficult, but the idea is that creation of such results is effortless. In fact, causing results in your life is always effortless when you're not the one doing it consciously. Think about that. If 95% of all your states happens by default on its own, and therefore 95% of all your behavior happens on its own, that means that 95% of all your results happen on their own. Some of those results happen so easily, you weren't aware of it, you weren't a part of its creation consciously whatsoever. You don't even admit creating it, you don't even take responsibility for all your results, because we have no awareness of its creation, because it just happened for us. Yeah. So the idea is, let me bring the slide back up. So the idea is that all this stuff, all your results are coming from the conditioning part. I mentioned beliefs, I mentioned values. I don't think we have enough time for me to mention all the others, but let me mention one more at least. How about emotions? Since that's fairly my constant topic. How about emotions? You know, your memories of your past. Do you think your past determines how you feel today, or has a say over your perceived future? Don't you reckon that the way you perceive your past has a significant effect on how you experience your life today and what you're expecting from the future? So you see, it's in our memory bank, you know, conditioning of our past, that we also tend to have certain unprocessed negative emotions. Certain events were hard, we experienced all sorts of hardships or pains, and some of it is not processed, and we're carrying it around. I think in plain language, you guys would experience this as, I think in plain language, we call this baggage or issues, right? Some people have their cup is full already. Do you guys know what I mean? It's like they have a very short fuse. A little nudge against them would like have them explode rather than, you know, a 10 of those. So the idea is that emotions also play a big role here in the conditioning, because we seem to have all sorts of unprocessed negative emotions, and we carry it within us as a burden that, you know, messes up the system, to say the least, including, you know, your health and stuff like that. But the idea is that it also messes up our thinking, our default setting, our thinking. So if our past was dark, we feel dark, and we expect the future to turn out dark. We learn that the world is a dark, bad place, and it's difficult. So, or we didn't, by the way. If you were raised in a very different environment and had a very happy childhood and stuff, your outlook on the world must be very different by definition. So the idea is this, and I think I'm gonna go back here. So guys, the idea is this. I'd like to remind you that you weren't born that way. That all this conditioning that's causing all the results in your life, through your state, through your behavior, creating results in your life, all that conditioning, all the stuff that you would, I think, refer to, including your identity, by the way, it's all coming from the data, it's all coming from the conditioning. And I just pointed out that conditioning is not something that was written in some stone. Conditioning is something that we acquired, we learned. See, when you came here into this world as a baby, I don't think you knew anything about relationships or money or even health, did you? All I know, you didn't, let's say you came as a, blank, you didn't know much. But the idea is that there was certain kind of knowledge that you did come into this world with. Certain knowledge that your inner wisdom, we call it sometimes, and that's your own body's ability or your unconscious mind's ability to create the body from a scratch. To replace cells, to keep rebuilding this body of yours, which is where the healing is, isn't it? So that kind of information, that kind of knowledge already exists within you. Your body is constantly recreated on an unconscious level. And I think, depending from your studies, you already know that, primary school biology class, they told us cells die and they get replaced with 2 new cells, right? So body is constantly being rebuilt over and over again. So the idea is that body knows how to heal, body knows how to run the system, okay? It's what we put into the conditioning that starts messing with the system, jams the system, and creates all sorts of conflicts within the system. So much like you won't learn here how to create impact in the world, because in my world, you're already creating an impact just as you are. You can't not create an impact in this world. Equally, you won't learn how to heal yourself because your body already knows how to do that. So where is the opportunity to work? You can work within the behavior, and you find that to be, I think, somewhat strenuous, hard work. You may try to police your own states and insist on better positive states, become a positive thinker. And that's all valuable and useful. I just don't find it as a lasting change. In context of creating the lasting change, I think one's focus should be on, I think it's also advice in many deeper books that says things like know thyself. I think the idea was to pointing out to us to go inside and figure out what's within us. Because what we find inside of us is what basically is in your conditioning. And if you don't like something that's there, the idea is you can change it. Because that's not who you are. Because in my world, you are not your beliefs, you're not your values, you're not your intentions even, you're not your behavior, you're not your results, you're not your career. All that stuff is learned. Is that making sense when I say it's all learned? Because we tend to forget that we as human beings, again, habitual, modeling our parents, modeling our environment, we kind of became the product of our environment. So on the light side, on the light note, I dare saying, whatever you're experiencing in your life, it's not your fault. Because you, me, we are a product of our environment. We were raised in a world the way we were, and we made sense of the world the way we did. And that became part of our conditioning. So if you want to change something, you're not changing yourself. You're changing conditioning, you're updating the outdated knowledge, and you're updating it, replacing it with something new. People are sometimes afraid of the change, but I still remind them that we don't change you. We change the conditioning, the programming, sometimes we call it. You change it for a better program that serves you better, and you find yourself automatically in a better state, automatically producing resourceful behavior, automatically getting better results in life. I think that's a treat. So I think one's focus on this path should be about that. Let me just see quickly, there's a question from Evan. When taking huge action that really challenges conditioning, whoa, wait, it disappeared. Is it to be expected for self-doubt to increase and for the one's body to want to shut down? Yeah, for sure, because Evan, your body is responding. How do I say this? Think of it this way. If you were in a room with me, I would do a little demo. I would just ask you to put a hand like this. And then I would press down physically without giving you any sort of pre-frame. You would automatically push back. Isn't that true? Your body would just go, whoa, what are you doing, kind of thing, right? So this is what's happening mentally. The moment you come up with a new, should I say, with a new direction in life, because you're consciously choosing to make a change, you get to deal with all of your conditioning that says otherwise. Those of you on the journey of affirmations, perhaps, you know, let's say you learned that you're going to change your beliefs, you're going to change your results. So you try doing that through affirmations. I used to do that 2 decades ago. The idea is, you guys may not know, but I come from very humble beginnings. So for me, my whole life, I wanted to make money kind of thing. So very poor, looking at the mirror going, I am a millionaire, you know, like trying to do this affirmation, right? Because I wasn't. My whole body went against me. Energetically, mentally, feedback I got from my mind was, no, you're not. Like, look around. You know, I was like in a crappy apartment and stuff. So you will get massive sabotage from your own body, mind, the whole thing, the whole system will fight back when you declare war to it. All right. So there are some far more clever ways than affirmations and any of these conscious effort and hard push to change. Once you have a deeper understanding of this knowledge, a deeper understanding of the tools that are available to us, that make change easy. Now, I don't know if I have enough credit with you guys today. It's early, but I dare saying some really bold stuff, like change is easy. Who gets to say that? You know, like, but I live in a world where if a client comes to me with a let's exaggerate just to paint a picture, massive trauma. I'm talking about somebody who experienced, I don't want to give you an example of something really, really bad, traumatic, emotionally beyond devastating. The biggest trauma you can imagine emotionally, something including like a parent losing a child, young baby. I'm talking about some really heavy stuff, okay? Client comes to me in that state. I promise you, I guarantee that they'll walk out from my office that same day, completely healed from all that pain. Now that sounds mad and insane, but you know, I stand behind my words and I demonstrate those things when I have an opportunity. So the idea is that change is easy when you understand how. You see this slide for me. I'll go back to the slide just for a second. Okay, see this slide? It all comes back down to this. If I can show you how to make changes within the conditioning, updating beliefs, guys, think of it like self-confidence, like the way you see yourself. Your identity, anything can change because it's data, it's within the conditioned mind. Changing those things changes your world. I mean, just tell me, if somebody was lacking confidence, what would this do if you were to help them change and start believing in themselves and they feel good about themselves, they feel good in their own skin? That changes everything. Their default states, therefore the behavior they can access, and therefore results they will be creating. So I'm aware of time, apparently. So I know my time is kind of limited. So just Charlotte, how much time do I have left? Because we started at 10, but am I till 11 or?
You've got another 5 minutes.
Okay. So, okay. So guys, to wrap it up then, I don't know, I hope this was useful to you as a little glimpse into my world. The idea is that while conditioning is causing all of this stuff, it's your state that creates the rest. It's what's attracting the like situations in your world, the like-minded people. It's basically how you interact with the field, how you interact with the quantum world is through your state. So if you want to become a better influencer, or if you want to create any different result in your life, you gotta change things within your conditioning. There's just no way around it. There are many different ways to go about it. There's different tools, different methodologies, but the idea is changing those things within yourself is the shortcut. It's the key, because changing the world outside of us seems to be not working, right? So I don't know, I know we ran out of time, so I'm just going to open up for any kind of quick questions, unless we already have them in the chat box. I over-identify my worth with what I do. We are all innately worthy just as we are. Bravo, Evan. Obviously, you get that. But we human beings, we identify with our career, with what we do. I am a lawyer. You know, I'm a coach. The idea is that when you were a baby, you weren't that. You had no idea about any of those things, and your default setting was joy, awe of this world. You were curious. You were present. Today, we spend time in future. We spend time in the past instead of being present and being aware of the gifts we were given. Yeah. So let me see. All right, cool. So any questions real quick, or am I wrapping it up? Hi, Robert. Always. Whoa, whoa. Cool. Thank you. Knowing the condition will declare a war on the change that we consciously choose how to overcome that. So Mirna, if I can, it's very small text on my screen. Like I said, there's different tools to do that. There's many, I call them permission slips. There's many different modalities you can turn to study, from NLP to coaching to all sorts of different modalities. In my world, what I do or stand for is what I call RS method. I have coaching trainings. You can become a coach. You can learn just how to make changes for yourself. The idea is that, again, I have online courses. You can study from wherever you are. You can come for a live training. For a while now, I only show up live in Dubai. So I see that a lot of you guys are in Emirates, and that's one place that you can easily find me then, in terms of live workshops, live trainings where I demonstrate all this. I love working with people, not just talking to them, you know? So the idea is that I teach people how specifically to make those changes, and then life becomes effortless again, but in a different light, because when you make those changes within you, everything turns different. Lifelong traumas, past memories, self-confidence, self-worth, you name it, it all can change, and none of it is who you are. You didn't come into this world with it, it's a learned. So it's a matter of unlearning it, or sometimes I like saying unbecoming who you weren't in the first place.